Good evening, everyone. This is Smari from Iceland, currently in Melbourne, though. We're gonna be starting the lesson now, and can everyone hear me? Okay, so you guys can hear me. That's good. So let's start. I'm gonna show you a couple of short games today that I played um, a couple of years ago in a tournament in Spain, both of them. But before that, I'm going to start off with this puzzle that you've been looking at already. It's from one of my internet games, and so it's white to move. And uh, what do you think is the best continuation for white here? Some of you have suggested knight f7. Some of you have suggested bishop takes f6. It's actually neither of that. And also when you see a puzzle like this, and I'm asking for an answer, it's not enough to give the first to have the first move correct. If the puzzle is more than one move, then you have to have the second move as well, or maybe it's even three moves. In this case, you can see on the screen that it's actually just two moves. But that means that if you think you have the answer, then you have to type in both of the moves for white, and obviously black's going to do one move in between, and you have to type in that move as well. So okay, so let's see, Nathaniel's. So Jill and Noam, I see your first move here. Tarek, that's not the correct move. Briesh, you have one first move, and it's not the correct one. Looks like Nathaniel may have the move. It's a lot of answers for me to go through, so I might miss some of your answers. So yes, Sam, it's white to move, and Justin, no, it's not knight f7, and Briesh, it's not queen takes f6. It's not queen h5 either. So I'll give you, for those of you, maybe some of you already have found it. For those of you who haven't, I'll give you a very good hint. It's a forced mate in two moves. So a forced mate in two moves. So not queen takes f6, not queen h5, not knight f7, and not bishop takes f6. Nathaniel, you have the first move correct, but can you write the rest? Justin and Julian, congratulations, correct. Well done, Justin and Julian, that's correct. Okay, It's not knight e4. Okay, let's just look at it. For those who it's not queen takes g8, no. Okay, so we only have a certain amount of time for this puzzle, so let's just go right to the solution. So first move is queen h6 check, and you see that I've put an arrow to show that the rook is pinned, so the queen is quite safe there. And you also see that the king, well, he has nowhere to go, and so the only legal move in this position for black is to block the check with his bishop. So bishop h7 is pretty much the only move, forced move, and then we simply take that bishop with the queen. In this position, we're not going to do something like knight f7, because obviously, if we have a mate in one, then that's what we're going to do in this position. So that's checkmate. Hope you enjoyed that one. And now let's go to the first of our two games today, which should be here. And so let's start with this one right here. And presentation mode and graphics. So this is from a tournament that I played in Valencia, which is in Spain. I was there in the summer of 2007, and played a 9-round tournament, rated for international rating, and played some good games. Some games not so good, and this game that I'm going to show you first is a very short one. As you can see, only 13 moves, and it's from the French. My opponent replied with a French defense, and I played the Tarash variation, so-called, which goes like this: d4, d5, and now knight d2. So that would be called the Tarash variation of the French defense. The point being that if black should play something like bishop b4, well, then that wouldn't be really a very good move, because now we can just chase the bishop away, and also strengthening our center with a pawn. So bishop b4 would not be a good move against the Tarash variation. But my opponent didn't do that. He did c5, which is a good move. So I take on d5. He takes with a pawn. Another variation is to take with a queen, which is quite common as well. He takes, and now I just develop my knight, and then he plays bishop to g4. So not such a good move. As you may see, I've written under the diagram, forgetting about the rule knights before bishops. So a better move would have been, in this position, knight to c6, actually. But so he played bishop to g4. So if it's not as good as knight c6, how can we like punish him for this move? How are we going to reply? Would you like to type in your suggestions to how we can reply to this bishop g4 move? So Briesh, Thomas, correct. Derek, correct. Liam, also correct. So the thing is, you see, I have this knight on d2, which is kind of blocking this bishop. So it would be kind of nice for me if I could get rid of this knight on d2 and develop my bishop on c1. So it would be pretty nice for me if he would simply take my knight on f3 with the bishop. So I'm just going to simply invite him to do that. So that's why I played h3. So h3, and And now he either has to retreat with the bishop or take my knight, which he did. And now um, both my bishops have a clear path, so to speak. And I've already got the bishop pair, and so it's already pretty nice position for me. Next move, not bad, knight f6. Um, so we're obviously gonna develop which bishop do you think in this position? Are we gonna develop the dark squared or the light squared bishop? Do you think the c1 bishop or the f1 bishop? What do you think? Dark, okay. Uh, Bishop e1. So I decided to develop the light squared bishop because I want a castle kingside. That's mainly why I develop this bishop next. Uh, it's simply because I feel that my king is not going to be as safe on the queen side as he is going to be on the king side. So that's my process of deciding what I want to do. First, I decide that I have to get my king into safety. He's on an open file. So my next thing is to decide: am I going to castle kingside or queenside? I see that he already has a pawn on d5 and c5, ready to open up the queenside and attack. So my king, I think he's going to be more safe on the king side. So that's why I developed this bishop. And I could have chosen another square, but I think that was a tempo winning move, so that's kind of why I liked it. So next move, obviously to castle, and so let's see, to castle, and he plays knight to d7. He's obviously thinking that well, my rook's gonna come to the e1 and give check pretty soon, and he's afraid that he's gonna lose the pawn on c5. So that's why I did the knight d7 move, which looks kind of strange though. Next move's gonna be rook e1 check anyway, because obviously the rook belongs on the open file, and bishop e7 kind of forced. So what do you want to do in this position? I'm kind of curious what your ideas for this position might be, and also why, if you can explain why you move the moves that you want to move in this position. um, okay, Briesh, I couldn't agree more with what you wrote, Briesh, because that's exactly what I did. Jill and Noam, you're right there as well. I took the pawn. So why did I take the pawn? Does anyone have a clue why it's good to take this pawn? Maybe no one reason, but make a pin because the bishop is pinned. Yeah, that's absolutely true, Briyesh. And also, Thomas, Thomas, you're also absolutely right. Um, I'm attacking the d5 pawn, which is kind of nice. And let's see what it did. Well, he could have taken the pawn on c5, thus protecting the d5 pawn with his queen, and that would have been a totally different game. But already White has a lead in development, and all his pieces are gonna have easy ways out on the board, and they're ready to attack black in various ways. So this would have been good for white as well. But my opponent, he decided to. He already has a weak pawn on d5, and he just decided to sacrifice it by castling. So of course we just simply take the pawn, and well, my opponent, he played now queen to c7, and I'm very curious if you can find my next move, because this move made my opponent actually resign. After queen c7, you see there's a double question mark after that. That means it's a very bad move. And now I did the winning move in this position. So it's not what Jill suggests. Jill Noam. Thomas, it's not your move either. Briesh, that's not the one. Jill, that's not the one. Sam, you have found the move. Congratulations, Sam. Sam has found the move. Briesh, that's not correct. Jill has Noam, have now found the move. Well done. Nathaniel, that's not correct. Briesh, that's not it either. So I have a fairly simple way now of winning some material. And some of you have actually found it, and it's a Briesh. Now you have found it. Well done, Briesh. Congratulations. Nathaniel, you have it as well. So let's just make that move. It's rook takes e7, exclamation mark, because this is going to win material. So we can also look at why taking the bishop first might not be as good. It's because, well, maybe I can't make the moves. Okay. If I try to take this knight first and then I want to take the bishop, he's gonna take with a pawn, and now I don't have time to take the bishop on e7, obviously, because he's attacking my queen. So that's why this is a stronger move. I'm up a bishop if he does nothing, so he would like to take back, but as you can see now, I'm simply gonna take this knight, and now I have two minor pieces for my rook, which is very nice. And so of course he could have fought on. He just decided to give up. He probably thought he was going to lose anyway, but of course if you have black in this position, there's no reason to resign. Really, you can fight on and see what happens. So but with best play, white should win. So that was this game. And let's just go straight to the other one, which is a little bit longer. So graphics annotator, just a moment. That one was Garcia. So this one was played in the same tournament as before, and also against a Spanish opponent who played also the French defense. So in both games, we have Spanish guys playing the French defense. And this guy was actually, sorry, this guy was actually rated over 2000. He was rated 2025 international rating. And so not a weak player, but still I managed to beat him in only 19 moves. The reason why I did that was not because I played so well for the first moves. It's because I suddenly had an idea and it worked out. So let's see how I won this Spanish guy in 19 moves. So again, I play the Tarash variation, and now he takes on e4 instead of playing c5 like my other opponent, and then he plays knight d7, and now this has actually transposed to another variation of the French defense, which is called the Rubinstein variation. So again, if you know the rules knights before bishops, then the next move is easy to find. Of course, it's just simply knight f3, bishop e7, and now again we want to decide. We have to decide: are we going to castle kingside or queenside? In this case, both is possible for sure, but still, castling kingside is a little bit safer. So we're gonna obviously develop it. If we're going to castle kingside, then we're going to develop this bishop. What square do you want to put it on, guys? Write your answers. We have a couple of squares available. Okay. So most of you want to go to c4. So Thomas, d3 or c4. Okay. So most of you want to go to c4, but actually I only went to d3, and I like that one better. Because on c4 there are some problems with being on c4. First of all, it's not protected on c4, so it might come under attack, so that's kind of a minus. Secondly, it's blocking the c pawn, which might want to go to c4. Thirdly, on d3 I'm protecting my knight on e4, so it's a very good rule in chess if you can to keep your pieces protected. So that's kind of why I liked the d3 spot better. One more reason I could give you is that if he castles kingside, well, then my bishop is pointing also. It's pointing to h7, which might be very good. Might or might not. We don't know, but at least it's pointing to h7. So d3 kind of a nice square to go to. Knight g2 f6, obviously. Um, so now I'm thinking, if I let him take my knight, and then I take with bishop, then he's going to put the other knight on f6, and then I'm going to have to move my bishop again. So I don't like having to move the same pieces around all the time. So that's why I took the knight. And then I can in this position now I don't have to waste a move on moving my bishop again. I've already developed it. I don't want to move it again immediately. So in this case I can do something more more instructive, which is simply to castle. And my opponent does the same. And so now I sort of have to come up with a plan. I could develop my bishop on c1, but I might also just want to see how things develop, see what my opponent does, and then develop the bishop a little bit later when I know where the best place is for it. So that's kind of why I didn't develop this bishop immediately. But I certainly have a lot of options in this position. I could play, for example, just pawn to c3 to strengthen my d4 pawn. Another plan might be to play pawn to c4 and fight for the d5 square. I could play rook e1, and yeah, I could do what I did, which was queen to e2. The reason why I did that was I wanted to put my rook on d1, so that's why I did queen e2. Well, my opponent, he played b6, so that's kind of a nice plan. He wants to put his bishop on b7, where it's gonna attack the f3 knight, and you'll see later that he's even gonna threaten mate in one move because of this b6 move. So now what I did was played rook to d1, but I actually had numerous other possibilities, as you may have seen here. Seen that I've given other options such as rook e1 and bishop f4. But anyway, I played. Yeah, sorry. I think I played rook d1, didn't I? Yeah, I played rook d1, and my opponent replies with a kind of obvious bishop to b7, and now I did a pretty bad move actually. So I played knight to e5, and it's not a good move. As you may see here, I've given you lots of other options, which are all of them better than what I actually did. So bishop to f4, bishop to g5, even something like a4. The goal of a4 is to put the a pawn then on a5, which would increase the scope of my rook on a1, and it could uh, it could give me some options on the a file, such as doubling rooks on a file, putting pressure. Could put the pawn on a6 even later on if he doesn't take. So even a4 would have been better than what I actually did. So, but knight e5, it's not a good move. So question is it bad because can he take the pawn on d4? What do you think? Is he gonna is his queen gonna take my pawn here on d4? Is that why knight to e5 is bad? What do you think? Hi, Jason. So would would black in this position, would he take the pawn on d4? What do you think? Oops. Can I make this move? Did my opponent do this, do you think? And more importantly, um, is it a good move for black? Is he just winning a pawn for nothing? What does white do? If you think it's a bad move for black, what does white do? So Brioche. Yes, Brioche, you're correct. Justin, correct. Well done, Justin and Brioche. You found it. Thomas, no, that's not the move. Liam, well done. You found it as well. So I'll show the move now. Because my opponent he was rated over 2,000. He had a rating of over 2,000. So it's obvious that he would have seen this move, bishop to h7, check to the king, and it's a discovered check, meaning that next move I'm gonna eat the queen. I'm gonna capture his queen with my rook. He has to do something about the check, and then he's losing his queen. So of course my opponent didn't fall for this. He was much too strong to fall for this. So why is knight e5 not a good move then? I'll show you. Because instead of taking the pawn, he played queen to d5. So now I simply have to wonder, how am I gonna protect against the mate in one move? So now he's, if I'm not careful, he's just gonna mate me in the next move on g2. So I simply have to protect against that. And I don't have a lot of ways to do that. I can't play something like f3, because if I play let's see, if I play f3, then he actually can take the pawn, because there's no bishop takes h7 now, because I'm in check, so I'm not allowed to do that. So I can't play f3. Queen f1 could do that, but it's It's kind of backing away. So I actually couldn't find anything better than just uh, yeah, knight f3. As you see here, I only have the options of either queen f1 or what I did knight f3. So um, you see that I've wasted two moves already with a knight. I played knight f3, and then knight e5, sorry, and then I played knight f3 again, and so I've gotten nowhere with it with this plan, and he's just developing. So knight f3 back, and now he's developing his pieces. So I'm just losing tempos for nothing. So this whole knight e5 plan was a total fiasco. But next move was a little bit better. I'm developing finally the bishop, and now I'm actually attacking the c7 pawn. So it's not so bad as well. And my opponent, well, he played rook to d7, and as you see, I've written under the diagram the beginning of the end, meaning I don't think this is a very good move, and it's taking away a retreat square for the queen, and it's also taking away square for the knight if maybe the knight wanted to go to d7. So it wasn't the right way to protect the pawn. He had better ways of protecting the pawn, such as I think bishop d6 would probably have been better. So this is actually where I started to get a really devious plan, and which worked out. And it's gonna take quite a few moves. We still have, I think, 6 moves to go before the end of the game. But I already had the plan that worked out, and you'll see some pretty strange moves from White, but they're all part of the plan. So you'll see in the end why I made those moves. So first move is bishop to e5, and this is sort of a multi-purpose move. It's kind of restricting the movement of the black queen. Now it can't go to, for example, h5, where it would have been strong, and I'm also blocking the pawn on e6 even better, and I can take the knight on f6 when it suits me, and I'm also protecting the pawn on d4 better. So, like I said, a kind of a multi-purpose move, and um, so so yeah, and it's on a central square, so it's kind of tying down the center, and just the idea is to sort of limit black's options, and also the plan that you'll see unraveling in the next few moves. So next move was for black bishop a8 in the corner, and the reason why he did that was that he wanted to have the bishop protected. So, and that's kind of a nice rule that I like to follow myself as well. Always have the pieces well protected. So now his bishop is protected by the rook on f8, and he's. I think he was afraid that in some variations I would take the knight on f6 and protect e4 a little bit better, and then play bishop to e4. Queen moves away, and then I take the bishop on b7. I think he may have had some worries about that, and he was actually right to be worried about that stuff, because I had actually similar ideas in mind. So this is not as silly, the bishop a8, as it looks. So my next move is actually exactly that, rook e1. It's to control the e4 square a little better, and you see written an idea is born, and that's the idea you'll see developing now. So rook f to d8. So he's still kind of not seeing my idea, and no wonder, because it's it's kind of obscure actually. And my next move, I'm not even gonna ask you to guess it because I think it's really hard to find. But it has to do with covering the e4 square in a different manner. So this is why I played the very strange looking queen f1. And so the reason I do this is that I want my rook to cover the e4 square and not my queen. And you must be very puzzled by all these moves because it's not easy to see why I'm doing these moves. But you'll just bear with me, and you'll see in a few more moves. So my opponent, he didn't quite know what to do. So he actually played h6, which is, well, it's not. I don't really see why he's doing that. He should have been maybe doing something better, such as attacking my center. Try to attack maybe this pawn on d4 with a move like c5, maybe. Because this pawn on d4 and my bishop on e5, they're very strong at sort of tying down black's position. So that's where he should be. That's what he should be focusing on. And my next move is to um, to uh, get the a5 square. So maybe I should just give you an idea of what my plan actually is. So my plan is that I noticed that although his queen is in the center of the board where it should have a lot of options, I noticed that, and also from my previous games, I've noticed that the queen can sometimes be trapped even in the center. So my idea a few moves ago was, how can I possibly trap his queen right in the center? And right now it has the a5 square to go to, amongst others. So my next plan is to try to stop her from going to a5. And the reason, the way I do that is I play a4, and my plan with a4 is to get him to play a5. If I can get him to do that, well, to play the pawn on a5, well, then his queen is not going to be able to go there. And in this position, he's a little bit afraid of this a4 pawn. He's afraid that this a pawn is going to go to a5 and sacrifice itself. For example, if he plays, I don't know, let's just say he plays a waiting move. Okay. Well, my opponent, he's a little bit scared that this pawn is going to go to a5, and which is going to make my rook stronger. And he doesn't really want to take the pawn like this, because then his whole pawn structure on the queen side is very weak. And I have a lot of ways to attack this pawn later on, and when I regain this pawn, well, then I'm just going to attack the next pawn, and so then that pawn's going to be very weak. So my idea was, if I play a5, I I think he's going to play a5 because he doesn't like me to play a5. And so I can sort of control what he's thinking, which is very cool in chess, if you can sort of control what your opponent's going to think. And so that's actually what happened. I could make him think that he had to play a5, and that's exactly what he did. So, and that's actually walking into a quite of a nice trap that I now set up. Let's see if you can guess my next move. It's still a little bit complicated, but I'm gonna give you maybe 1 minute or so to just guess the next move, and then we'll continue. So it's not correct, Jill. Not correct, Nathaniel. Um, the only person who has the correct move is Thomas so far. Everyone else has the wrong move. So some of you are saying take the knight. Some of you are saying bishop e4. which is not correct either, because then he's just gonna bishop b4 would actually be very bad, because well, then he's just gonna take the bishop with his knight. So bishop b4, then knight simply takes my bishop. So that definitely doesn't work. So um, my plan is to try to trap the queen in the center, and in this position, well, bishop e4 doesn't work because the knight's going to take. Well, bishop c4 or pawn c4 is not going to work either, because he's just going to retreat with his queen to, for example, b7. So the plan is more complicated than this. So I have to do this in two moves. I have to first do a very clever move. Jill, that's not the move. First, Nathaniel has the move. Very well done, Nathaniel. Thomas also had the move, so well done, Thomas and Nathaniel. Briesh, that's not the move. But we have two people, Thomas and Nathaniel, have actually found the correct move. Jill and Noam, well done as well. So let's just see the next move. So my next move is bishop to b5, and this is all aimed at winning the queen, not the rook that I'm attacking. So that's kind of funny, I guess. And so now I'm threatening to win win the exchange. So win a rook for a bishop. That would be winning the exchange, so called. So, but I'm only doing this to win the queen later on, because now he's thinking, well, I don't wanna lose the exchange, and he's also thinking, and he told me this after the game, because we analyzed the game afterwards, and he told me that well, he couldn't play this move because let's suppose he would have done that. Do you see what I would have done in this position? There's more than one option. Yeah, so most of you see it already. So he's thinking, well, that doesn't work. For example, if white just plays c4, you'll see that the queen, well, it's just gonna die. It has nowhere to go. But he actually thought that he thought he had found a way out by playing bishop to c6, and so now that only leaves us with the last move of the game. What do you think my last move was? So, okay. A lot of you say, if you write c4, that means you're going to put the pawn on c4. Nathaniel, very well done. You found the move. Congratulations, Nathaniel. Nathaniel has found the move. Congratulations. Oliver, that's not the right move. So far, only Nathaniel has, and now Thomas, and now Sam. Also, well done, guys, for finding the correct move. Jill, that's not the correct move. Not yet. So, he was expecting me to do what Jill and Noam have written. He was expecting me, as you may see if you look below the diagram, he was totally expecting me to play this, but actually he has a way out if I would have done that. Because if I would have done that, well, then he was going to take my bishop like this, and now I'm not winning. I'm not winning like before, because if I take his queen, well, then he's just going to take my queen. Well, I can take his bishop, it's true, but if you count the material, it's equal. So I'm not winning, and he was actually counting on this. So when I played bishop b5, he thought he was getting away with it. He thought it was pretty clever by playing this, because he thought that I was going to play c4, and because that's what he told me after the game. But and then he has a very clever way of escaping with by taking the bishop. And so if I take the queen, he's going to take my queen. If I take his bishop, well, then his queen is just going to escape. So it looked pretty clever, but as some of you have already seen, um, um, I did another move, which I'm going to show you because we're running out of time anyway. So it's bishop to c4. That's what I did, and now he resigned because he simply missed this bishop c4 move. He wasn't expecting this move. He was expecting the pawn to go there, but instead I played the bishop to c4, and the difference is that in this case he's not going to win my queen. I'm only going to win his queen. So this game was it was not perfect on my part, but I kind of like it, and I hope you find it instructive, because what I think is instructive about this game is the fact that I got an idea, which was simply that I wanted to trap the queen in the center, and then I had to make a lot of clever little moves to make it happen, and I managed to find all those moves, and so that's why my idea worked. So I guess the moral of the story is try to find clever ideas, and then find when you found a clever idea, for example, trapping the queen in the center in this case, well, then just try to find the moves that make the idea work. So, all right, that's it, guys. It's already 7:15, and if you don't have any questions, I'm just gonna say thanks for listening, and thank you for your input, and see you guys later.